Hi everyone! Okay, the first book that I would like to read for you is called The Distance Between Us by Bart Yates. It came out in 2008 and it is this author's third book. I really loved it. I had a hard time putting it down. I had to force myself to put it down just so that it would last longer than a week. Okay, on the dust jacket, what it says about the book is, Hester Parker resides in an elegant Victorian house in the town of Bolton, Illinois. She spends her evenings listening to the lush tones of Chopin, drinking subpar Merlot, and reflecting on a life that has suddenly fallen apart. At 71, Hester is as brilliant and sharp-tongued as ever, capable of inspiring her music students to soaring heights or reducing them to tears with a single comment. But her wit can't hide the bitterness that comes with loss. The loss of her renowned violinist husband, Arthur Donovan, who left her for another woman, and the loss of her career as a concert pianist after injuring her wrist. In this house that holds so many memories, Hester and Arthur raised three volatile children: Paul, a talented and neurotic cellist; Caitlin, an accomplished literary professor who inspires both dread and worship among her students; and Jeremy, sweet-spirited and as musically gifted as his parents. Though Caitlin and Paul still live in Bolton, both have taken Arthur's side in the divorce and rarely see their mother. When Hester decides to rent out the attic apartment to Alex, a young college student, she has no idea of the impact he will have on her life and her family. Good-natured and awkward, with secrets of his own, Alex becomes an unlikely confidant and a means of reconnecting with the world outside Hester's window. But his presence also exposes old memories and grief that Hester has tried to bury. Over the course of one remarkable month, Hester will confront angry accusations, long-hidden jealousies, and the inescapable truth that tore her family apart and might, against all odds, help reconcile them again. And her brief friendship with Alex will leave each with a surprising legacy: acceptance of the past, a seed of comfort in the present, and hope for the future, wherever it may lead. Okay, here we go. Here's chapter 1, or part of chapter 1 anyways. I spend a great deal of time admiring my hands, but that's only because they belong to another woman. My body turned 71 last month and has, of late, begun to bear a disturbing resemblance to an overripe avocado. If you slit me down the middle from my neck to my pelvis and peeled off my bumpy hide, I'm sure you'd find nothing underneath but a gooey, greenish pulp, riddled with black and brown bruises, and completely unusable for anything worthwhile. Except maybe as the base of a suspicious batch of guacamole. But my hands are only 40 or so. My fingers are long and thin and supple. My palms are soft and smooth. When I make a fist, the wrinkles between my knuckles and wrists vanish, the skin pulled taut by a layer of fine, strong muscles attached firmly to my bones. But as I said, then there's the rest of me. You bring the garlic and the lime juice, I'll provide the tortilla chips. No, not yet. I need another drink first, and if you know what's good for you, you'd better have one too. I open my door, and the young man who's come to see about the attic apartment is standing on the porch, shivering. He's tall and thin, and he's not wearing a hat or gloves, and all he's got for a coat is a thick blue flannel shirt 3 sizes too big for him. I frown up at him. It's 10 degrees out here, you idiot. Don't you know how to dress in the winter? He looks taken aback. Miss Donovan? I wince. Just Hester, please. Are you Alex? He nods. Sorry I'm late. I got lost. His hair is red and curly and wild, spilling over his ears and forehead and down the back of his neck. His chin and cheeks are unevenly dotted with red stubble. You need a haircut and a shave, I tell him. You remind me of an Irish setter I owned as a child. His name was Fergus, and he was ran over by a logging truck. He blinks, but doesn't say anything. At least he's not the chatterbox. I wave him in. Well, don't just stand there. Come in, and take your shoes off before you make a mess. He kicks the snow from his soles and steps past me, then bends over to untie his sneakers as I shut the door behind him. He's not wearing socks. The stupid streets don't make sense around here, he mutters at the floor. There are no signs on the corners or anything. What's up with that? I point at his bare feet when he straightens. Aren't you freezing? He shrugs. Not really. I like the cold. His wire-framed glasses have fogged over, and he takes them off and wipes them on his shirt tail. He squints down at me for a second. His eyes are pale blue, then replaces the glasses on his nose and looks over my shoulder at the fireplace in the living room. He grins. Sweet, that's an awesome fire. He sniffs. It even smells great. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I glance at the flames. The fire is so hot it's mostly blue. I think the wood is a mix of cedar and pine, but there may be a bit of oak in it as well. I look back at him. I'm burning my husband's favorite coffee table this afternoon. I believe it was an antique. He swears somebody famous built it, but I can't remember who. Paul Revere, maybe? Or Oprah Winfrey. I always get those two confused, don't you? He stares at me. I retrieved the glass of red wine I set down on the steps a minute ago when I answered the door. Yes, I know, I probably shouldn't have destroyed it, but I really couldn't be bothered to go out to the woodpile in this cold. I chew on my lip. Then again, I had to venture out to the carriage house to get the sledgehammer anyways, and I made quite a shambles of the study afterwards. What on earth was I thinking? Arthur will be furious with me. He smiles a little, as if he thinks I'm joking. Poor boy. I take a sip of wine and study him. He has freckles on his nose and a small mole on his left temple. I point at the open bottle by my chair in the living room. Would you care for a glass of Merlot? It's not very good, but it helps take the chill off. He shakes his head. No, thanks, I'm fine. Have it your way. I turn around and head for the east staircase. The apartment is upstairs. The steps creak under our feet as he follows me. He's silent for a few seconds, but he clears his throat when we get to the first landing. Wow, this place is huge. He runs a hand over the mahogany banister and peeks in the doorway of the master bedroom. The late afternoon sun is streaming through the round stained glass windows on the south wall and lighting the floor and bedspread with patches of red and yellow. Wow, he says again, it's like a church or something in here. The ceilings are so high. I step beside him and stare in at my room. I don't get much company these days, and I forget how this house appears to strangers. I turn away from the bedroom and head up the next flight of stairs, and Alex follows me. The third floor has 3 guest rooms, one of which Arthur uses as an office, and a bathroom. Alex eyes the dusty cardboard boxes and scattered papers in the dismantled office with curiosity, but I pass by without pausing and ascend the final step of stairs. I stop in the hallway that connects the various rooms of the attic apartment. I'm panting a little from the climb. Well, this is it. He steps past me and looks around, perplexed. Where's the door? There is no door, I'm afraid. The only thing separating the attic from the rest of the house is a waist-high banister that runs the length of the hallway. He walks down the hall and peers in at each room, kitchen, living room, bathroom, bedroom, then comes back and stands next to me. The wallpaper behind him is white with small clusters of purple grapes. One of the grape clusters hangs directly above his head, like a mistletoe. He fingers his jeans and stares over the banister at the staircase. It's nice, but I was hoping there'd be more privacy. I thought there'd be a door. I sigh. You needn't worry, no one uses the 3rd floor anymore, so it serves as a buffer between the main house and the apartment. I stay on the first 2 floors, and as you've noticed, this house is rather large. You'd have all the privacy you need. He meets my eyes for an instant, then looks away and bites his lips. I'm sorry, I don't think I can live in a place without a door. He drops his head and curls his long toes in the carpet. I glare at his scalp and take another sip of wine. Suit yourself. Give me a moment to rest and I'll show you out. I wander into the kitchen and sit at the table, dipping my neck to keep from banging my head on the slanted ceiling. Alex sticks his head in the doorway and watches me with an anxious expression as if he thinks I'm preparing to have a stroke. I point at the picture on the wall, above a small table with an old-fashioned black rotary phone on it. That's my son Paul. He used to be quite handsome, don't you think? I swirl the remaining swallow of wine around in my glass. Now he's got a dreadful beard and a pot-belly, and he lumbers about town like a disrespectful buffalo. It's ghastly how he let himself go. He steps in for a closer look. The photo is a black-and-white shot of Paul standing on the front porch with his arm around one of his first girlfriends. Alex studies it for a minute, and I study him. He's very thin, and the veins in his hands and feet show through his skin. He clears his throat. Your son still in Bolton? Does he live with you and your husband? Dear God, no. I live alone these days. Arthur and I are separated, and Paul... So, is Alex going to move in with Hester? You'll have to buy the book and find out. Again, this is The Distance Between Us by Bart Yates. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Goodbye.